Hi, welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. I am so excited that you're here today because today is like a dream come true for me. I got to interview my coach and mentor from B School, Marie Forleo. Marie has created this incredible program called Time Genius, which we're going to get into and talk all about. But she also has an amazing masterclass that is free, that will be super helpful for you if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you feel like you're burning the candle at both ends, trying to fit it all in. I really am encouraging you to go and sign up for the 3 productivity mistakes you cannot afford to make. So these classes are happening all this week, all next week. There's different times, so find the time that you can attend live. Marie has compiled the most recent studies in neuroscience and human psychology, studying entrepreneurs to understand how we unconsciously sabotage our success by how we manage, or rather mismanage, our time. So you will learn how to make 2 to 5 times more progress consistently, even if you think you've tried every productivity tool out there, every hack, everything. Even if you think there's nothing you can possibly say no to in your life, that you're doing all the things you can possibly do, how can you possibly do anything else? How can you fit anything else in? Do one thing. Only this one thing is fit in the 3 productivity mistakes you cannot afford to make into your week, because this is going to help you get your time back. This is going to reduce the anxiety. It's going to reduce the overwhelm. It's going to reduce the stress, and it's going to give you real strategies that you can use to take back your time and take back control of your life, because time is energy. And when you feel like you have no time, that means you also have no energy. And if you have no energy, you're accumulating stress. And when you're accumulating stress, what's happening? Your health is decreasing. So if you're in the wellness profession, if you're a yoga teacher, a health coach, if you're someone who's holding space and you have a big heart and a lot of empathy and compassion for other human beings, and you're really someone who wants to make a difference in other people's lives, then you cannot afford to burn out. You cannot afford to feel stress and allow this stress to then create a lot of health problems for yourself. So do one thing, get into this free masterclass and learn how to reduce your stress and create more time for yourself. I know it's really, really important to prioritize what matters most in your life at whatever stage and season your life is in. And so I also would love it if you would join me inside Time Genius. I have 3 incredible bonuses that I'm offering all of the people who sign up through me. I am supporting Marie in this course this year, and I'm creating a mastermind group where we will meet each week to support each other and also just stay on track with our goals and creating the structures in our lives that we want so that we can free up more time and have more time. So I'm really excited to be an affiliate for her Time Genius course, and I hope that you will sign up and join me, because we're going to have 5 weeks to go through the course. There's also live trainings and coaching with Marie and her other coaches that help her out in the Time Genius course. And so you'll get 2 weeks of live training with Marie, as well as you can go through the whole program in 5 days. It's super short. It will only take 5 days if you really dive in and do the whole thing. But you're also going to get another 3 weeks after those initial 2 weeks to come and be with me. So even if you don't make it through the whole program in 2 weeks, you can continue to work through the program with support and coaching inside our mastermind group. And also you'll have one-on-one Voxer support with me. So if you're stuck or you're struggling, we can work it out. We can talk it over. I can help strategize with you or give you some ideas on what to prioritize first, what to let go of, what's most important to you. So it's going to be a great way to experience Time Genius with ongoing support and mentorship, not only from Marie Forleo, who is incredible and wonderful, as you're about to hear, but also with me as well, continuing on even past the Time Genius program. So You get lifetime access. Also, there's 100% guarantee, satisfaction guarantee. So there's absolutely no risk in joining. So I would encourage you, especially if you're like, I don't have time for Time Genius. I'm so, overwhelmed already with all the things I have to do. This program is essential. It is for you. It's going to change your relationship with time. It's going to change how you think about time. And it's going to give you real strategies that work, that are tested, that will help you to really take back control of your life so you can experience ease and joy and flow and the freedom that probably you wanted to feel from the beginning. That's why you're here. That's why you practice yoga. That's why you are into the wellness world. That's why you are a health coach, because you wanted to have the freedom over your time and your schedule. And you wanted to have that time to do your own self-care practices and to take care of yourself. You didn't realize that becoming an entrepreneur and starting your own coaching business or becoming a yoga teacher and having to work for yourself meant that you had to do all these other jobs. And all these other jobs have a funny way of taking over our lives. So we're going to get into all of these things in this episode with Marie today. I can't wait for you to hear it. I'm so excited to share it with you. It's out of control. Okay, let's jump in.
Hi, welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. This is your host, Harmony Slater.
Hi.
Hi, and I am your co-host of the show.
Russell Case?
No producer credit, though.
No. You got to start doing more editing for that.
Is that all it would take?
Yeah.
I've been volunteering at the radio.
That's good.
And they would like me to come in and do some more production training and then to work at the radio. And then I could do all of this.
Yeah, you need to work at the radio and do the production training. Stop picking at me.
I'm sorry. The problem with
Nobody can see the hair on my shirt but you.
No, I can see that. The problem with the problem with me being producer, though, is then I would also have editorial control. And that's, I think, what you want to prevent.
Yeah, probably.
Is me having editorial control.
Yeah. But you'll never guess what happened to me today.
You woke up at 4:30 in the morning to start work. And then you didn't stop. You didn't walk the dog. You didn't make coffee.
Yeah, that's not true.
You didn't do anything.
I walked the dog today.
Oh, at noon, yeah. Finally walked the dog at noon.
No, I got to interview Marie Forleo.
But you also did those things. You also woke up at 4:30 in the morning to get to work.
I woke up not quite that early.
You should be more well-rested. You should be a well-rested woman.
A well-rested woman. Yeah. I am a well-rested
woman. Marie Forleo, she's like really big, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. I would say, Oprah said that she was a thought leader for a new generation.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, that's pretty big. I think that's the biggest person we've ever had on our show, someone who's been on Oprah.
I think Eddie Stern's bigger, but I was thinking about Marie Forleo and her being on Oprah, and I wanted to tell my Oprah story. And I wanted to ask her about my Oprah story.
You don't have an Oprah story.
I have an Oprah story. Are you kidding?
What is it?
You don't want to hear if you want to hear my Oprah story, I have one.
I don't think I do.
But the irony is that I was, as co-host, I was not allowed to be on the show today.
Yeah, we had to keep it snappy and to the point, and the comic relief was left out.
So you're telling me that your podcast, which is all about finding harmony, taking these crises in our lives and turning them into insight, and a show where is attracting attention, where you invite someone like Marie Forleo to come on and talk about time management. You're saying that show had to be cut for time.
Well, we had to prioritize what was important. And that's a part of time management. So Marie Forleo is an amazing coach and mentor, and she has created a masterclass that you can register for today, for this week and next week. It is called The 3 Productivity Mistakes You Can't Afford to Make. And I really think that you could take this masterclass. It's like for you, to help you with your productivity. So I think you're making a few mistakes.
So the whole notion of having like an open-ended time to have a conversation with someone on a podcast, like that whole thing had to be snipped right out.
Yeah, because she's in high demand. So she only had 30 minutes because she is sought after. We were just so fortunate that she wanted to come and talk to me at all.
But how does she make time for like Taoist, just going with the flow and reading energy, responding to energy? And
I think that's definitely, we talk about that actually. Yeah, we talk about how to make time for flow and intuition and being in the present moment. And then also how important it is to, when you're working on a big project, to create deadlines and have a schedule. Otherwise, you'll never get anything done.
mm-hmm,
So, yeah, we talk about the balance of all of that.
And that's why I was cut from the show again.
Yeah, sorry. But what's incredible in her masterclass, which you should definitely take, you will learn how to make 2 to 5 times more progress consistently. More, even if you think that you've tried all of the productivity tools already, which
I have not.
I don't
tried
think
any
you have.
Of them. No, I like the pace that I work at.
Yeah, but she's going to teach you to ditch this toxic hustle culture. I don't think you're a part of that.
No, I am not part of the toxic.
But maybe she could just help you get more done in less time so that you could spend more time doing the things you love, like painting.
Honestly, my attempts at having a social media profile for my painting, where I think that was when I started entering that hustle culture piece, and I started having to make posts every day. I think so. If you could cut that part out of your life, like I did, you'd feel like you'd have a lot more time.
Yeah, you could take B School, her business program, and I think that would help you with your painting aspirations.
I kind of thought that's what I was doing when I was getting my M School.
That's a no. But they didn't teach you business in art school.
They didn't teach me anything about that.
No. So you should go to my page, harmonyslater.com/time-genius, and you can sign up for the webinar that's happening this week. It's free. It's free. You like free.
I don't. I like high end.
It is high end and free.
Oh.
And it's going to teach you how you can ignore what's not important and how you can prioritize what is important.
For Christmas, I would really like to replace my ballet bag.
Ballet bag?
My ballet bag. It was very expensive, and I'd like to have it replaced.
Okay. But for those who don't know about Marie Forleo, she is the creator of the online business training school called B School, which is internationally acclaimed. It is a wonderful online program. She's also on the New York Times bestseller list for her books Everything is Figure Outable and Make Every Man Want You.
If you know about ballet leather goods, you'll probably also know about Marie Forleo.
Probably. She is the host and creator of the award-winning TV show Marie TV, which you can find on her YouTube channel. And she was named by Oprah as the thought leader for the next generation.
I also have an Oprah story.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that now. But she is an incredible woman, full of so much compassion, just so nice, so wonderful. I'm so excited to introduce our listeners to her here. I think that if anyone is struggling with burnout, with time stress, with feeling disconnected from their life, their family, their work, their job, their yoga practice, Time Genius is really the program that's going to help them reconnect and revive that passion and purpose for the things they love in their life.
I was barefoot playing golf at La Costa Golf Course in Encinitas in Carlsbad, and I was interrupted to give Stedman the basketball playoff scores. He was really interested in the bowl scores.
Yeah, that's your Oprah story. That's a Stedman story.
I have there's a whole lead up to it. I can really. That's all I can.
Anyway, I think we've spent enough time goofing around here, so. Without any further ado, let's just jump into this wonderful, wonderful conversation with Marie. I'm so honored, so grateful, so blessed to have had this chance to connect with her today.
I just know our listeners at home are expecting like a whole hour and a half. Like they kind of regulate their lives around it.
Think of it like a recess.
a reset.
This one's all about taking your time back, and that's what we're giving them now, is their time back.
I'd like to have my time back.
Go to harmonyslater.com/time-genius, and you too can get your time back.
Thank you. I don't...
Hi, Marie. It's so wonderful.
Hi, Harmony. So good to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's such an honor, and I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, this is literally like a dream come true. Something I really wanted when I started my podcast was to just like meet with, thought leaders like yourself and people who've really influenced and impacted my journey and my career. And so it's just wonderful to have you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, many of my listeners might not know you because typically I have a lot of yoga practitioners or yoga professionals or health coaches who may not be so familiar with you. So I'm just going to introduce you a little bit so everyone understands why I'm so excited to have you here. So when I met you, it was through your world-class online business program, B School. And that's when I really started learning from you and like entered your world. And it was such an amazing transformational thing for me because it helped me really transition my in-person yoga teaching business to a primarily online business now. And on top of that, you're also New York Times bestseller. You've been on a number 1 bestseller list for your books, Everything is Figureoutable, and also Make Every Man Want You. And then also you have an incredible free offering that you do every week, Marie TV, which is a wonderful award-winning online program where people can be inspired and motivated and learn all about creating a business. So that's you, I guess, some of what you've done, but you also have so many other interests and passions like teaching dance, where that's something we connect on as well. I used to also teach dance and be a dancer, and yoga as well. I know you have a regular yoga and meditation practice, and you, I think, were the first person to coin the term multi-passionate, which I've really taken on to explain my own like neurodivergent tendencies of wanting to do everything all at one time. And so you've created a new program, which I love. I'm so excited about, called Time Genius. And this was really transformational for me, not just for my business. I think it's like the perfect follow-up to B School, where you like jump into creating an online business, but then you're like a solopreneur. And I've been a solopreneur for almost 20 years, doing all of the things, wearing all of the hats, trying to do it all on my own. And you start to burn out. You start to feel like, oh my God, how am I ever going to do all of these things? And you feel like you're just like running behind the apple cart all the time, like picking up the apples as they fall off. So, look from the outside looking in, it seems like all of this like just manifested in your life and came to you really easily, and that you have it all together and everything's like, functioning, in a really smooth way. But I know that that's probably not the truth. As an entrepreneur, I know that it's been a lot of hard work behind the scenes. So my first question is, can you tell me a little bit about your journey and what sparked you to make this incredible program?
Yeah. So, I've been doing what I've been doing now for over 2 decades. And it really all started for me from knowing that I wanted to make a difference in the world somehow, finding myself on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange on Wall Street. And I loved that environment. It was my first job out of college because it was a lot of energy and there was literally no seats. And I'm someone who likes to run around a lot. I like to be very active. But I learned quickly that that wasn't necessarily the place for me. I started having this little intuitive voice come up, Marie, this isn't who you are. This isn't what you're meant to do. This isn't who you're supposed to be in the world. But that same little intuitive voice, Harmony, didn't tell me what else I was supposed to do instead. And I tried to quiet it down. I was the first in my family to go to college. My parents really worked their buns off to help me afford to be able to go to school. So the thought of like just having a job and health insurance and something stable, the fact that I wasn't happy I started feeling a lot of conflict and guilt. I was like, I'm going to bring shame on my family if I want to leave this job, but it's, making me just sick. I don't want to be here. And one day there was a pivotal day. I remember showing up on the floor, and I was starting to have what I now understand was a little bit of a panic attack. I was dizzy. I couldn't breathe. And I told my boss at the time, I said, hey, I need to go out and get a coffee. Is that okay? He's like, totally fine. And Harmony, I didn't go get a coffee, but I ran to the nearest church. And because I only knew in a crisis, you got to ask for help and look up. And so I remember sitting on the church steps, crying my eyes out, just feeling terrible, because I was like, I hate this job. I want to quit this job. I don't want to bring shame on my family. How am I going to support myself? We don't have money, like all these things happening. And so the first message I got was to call my dad. So I whipped out my flip phone. You have to understand, this is like 1997, 1998. And I'm crying to my dad, and he's like, just calm down, calm down. He said, look, here's a secret to life. You have got to find something you love. You're going to be working for the next 40 or 50 years. If this job is making you this sick, he's like, I know you. You've worked since you were 9 years old. You will figure out a way to keep a roof over your head and to keep food on the table. But if you're this miserable, you're going to have to leave and figure out something that you genuinely enjoy. That really is the secret to success. And my dad gave me a huge permission slip at that moment to go find my own way. And so I gave notice. And the only two things, Harmony, that I knew was that I loved business and I also loved creativity. But that, we don't really do a good job in our society of equipping people to figure out, well, how do you figure out what your livelihood is? And what
Totally.
So I thought that maybe women's magazines were going to be the answer, because there was this creative side of it. There was also the commerce side. So I got a job as an ad sales assistant at Gourmet magazine. And I was really excited. Wall Street was very male dominated, 99.9% men. Magazine world, definitely more balanced. And I was excited to be in a new environment. And a few months went by, and I started hearing that same voice again, though, Harmony. Maria, this isn't who you are. This isn't what you're supposed to do. This isn't what you're meant to be in the world. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, why do I not want to keep any job, even though I'm a really hard worker? And I thought to myself, okay, maybe I've been too embedded in business. Maybe, my creative side is just starving for attention. So I remember going to the HR department. This was at Condé Nast Publications, again, back in its heyday. And I said, hey, look, if there's any position that opens up in an editorial side of any magazine, even though it's a lateral move, I'll take it. Eventually, a position opened up at Mademoiselle. And I was like, okay, this has got to be it. I'm going to be working with fashion designers and photographers and helping new, folks get their products and their services out in the world, creating these beautiful layouts. This is going to be awesome. And the first few weeks / months were amazing. It was super dynamic. It was very exciting, going to all the greatest shows and seeing all these new, just beautiful pieces that were being designed come in. But then, Harmony, the voice came back again. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? I seriously thought that there was something broken in me. All of my friends were not only getting promotions and raises, but they were buying homes and starting to have families. And like, here I was just wanting to quit my job again. Nothing made sense. One day I was on the internet, probably when I shouldn't have been, and I stumbled upon this new profession at the time called coaching. Again, context, we're now in like 1999. And something in me, Harmony, lit up like a Christmas tree, where all the different things I had tried, this new coaching thing, I just felt like my soul expanded and the clouds parted, and, little cherubs were like, oh, like, this is what you're meant to do. But the mean voice in my head, and I don't know if this is true for yoga teachers as well, or anyone that teaches meditation or anything around wellness, there's a party that goes like, this is fluffy. Right? No one's, how are you actually going to make a living doing this? And for me, because I was like 23 years old at the time, it's like, Marie, you haven't even lived life yet. Who the hell is going to hire a 23-year-old life coach? You're in debt. You can't seem to hold down a job. You're a total loser. Like, this is crazy. It's going to be one more thing that you just totally faceplant. But I couldn't deny how right it felt. So I signed up for a 3-year coach training program on the spot, would do my studies at night. One day I get a call from the HR department, and they have this big promotion for me. They wanted me to go to Vogue magazine. And so this was my fork in the road. Do you stay on the safe path, healthcare, 401k, benefits, a job everyone understands, or do you quit and do this weird life coaching thing that no one has ever heard of, that you have no idea how to start a business, and then whatever. So cut to, I decided to quit. I went back to and waiting tables, started my own business. And here we are like 20 years later. And to cut to what we were just talking about, your opening, one of the things that's happening now, whether you're a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, any kind of wellness health practitioner, we're wearing a lot of hats. And technology has invaded our lives to such a degree that many of us are working or thinking about work or feeling like we should be working from the moment we wake up until the moment we hit the bed at night. So many people, especially big-hearted creatives and big-hearted entrepreneurs or people that are committed to helping others heal, feel tremendous guilt if they ever take a break.
Yeah.
Feel like they can't ever shut their brains off. And it's starting to destroy not only our passion and our energy, but our health. And I had a huge health scare myself. And when I was looking around, Harmony, out into the world, I could see so many people struggling, like I was struggling, with overwork and burnout and an inability to focus, and this conflict of having these huge gifts that you want to give and share, but crumbling on the inside, and feeling a lot of shame and anxiety around that, and wondering if you're weak, maybe you're not meant to be an entrepreneur, maybe you don't have what it takes, maybe your mission, you can't fulfill it because you just can't seem to get up every day. So there were all of these things happening, and I know I was experiencing them, and I was also talking to friends and colleagues, and then I put an email out to our audience about this topic. Like, are you struggling around productivity and time? What's happening? What's preventing you from focus? Are you struggling with procrastination? I have ADHD, so I asked all kinds of questions. Harmony, in 3 days, we had over 7,000 responses.
Wow.
And not just any responses, like folks were writing novellas about how much pain they were in, about how guilty they felt. Like when they were working, they thought they should be with their family. When they were with their family, they thought they should be working.
Yeah.
Like they had too many priorities, never knowing what to focus on first, feeling this pull to be in a million different directions at once, but not having peace inside. And then again, for a lot of folks in helping professions, it's a little bit challenging because you're supposed to be the presence of calm and peace and joy, yet that's not what you're living on the inside. And so you start to feel a real sense of conflict. So Time Genius is this transformational program that helps people heal very, very quickly from burnout. It helps people double or triple their creative output in a fraction of the time. And it helps all of us completely reshape and transform how not only we think and feel about time, but how we move through our lives so that we can not only do our great work, but we can have the spaciousness and the joy and the freedom that most of us started our business for in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it did that for me because exactly what you're explaining was where I was when I went through the Time Genius program. It was just like, as an Ashtanga yoga practitioner, we're sort of expected to get up at 3 a.m. and do like this 2-hour yoga practice and then like go into your day. And many of my students like do that. They're so committed, but then they also have a family and kids and a job. And some of them are yoga teachers and building a business or coaching and trying to build a business. And as you just explained, all of a sudden we're thrown into this online world where now we're like email marketer, and now we're like a social media marketer, and now we're like doing all of the things, and probably like a bookkeeper, and there's so many little jobs, and then like when you lie down at night, you're just thinking like of all the things that you didn't get to or that you have to do tomorrow, and it's really hard to shut off the mind. And then as a wellness professional, there's so much shame in not doing the self-care because you feel like you don't have the time to do the self-care, but you also know it's so essential to show up and do your job.
Totally. And there's a bit of that fraud factor, right? And you're like, wow, I am preaching this stuff, but I'm not actually living it. And, I think that shame factor is huge. And we've seen so many thousands of our students, because I love surveying, I love talking to people, I love hearing the feedback, that they too were in that position of feeling like, oh my God, there's all these things that I should do, right? These very extensive, long, multi-hour morning routines and like all the stuff that we're kind of conditioned that we must do in order to be our best selves. And then there's our family obligations and our business obligations. And then what about actually having fun? Or what about white space? And what about spontaneity and creativity or actual rest? And so I think what we're describing right now, Harmony, in terms of all of the pressure, the exhaustion, the nonstop expectations and obligations, I believe it is something that I call time stress, which is the paradigm that most of the world is living in right now. It's the program that we've been conditioned into, and it's a trap that many of us are stuck in because we don't recognize that there's another option. There was another entrepreneur that I was talking to that went through Time Genius, and she reported like there was at some point she was like, wow, is this just what it takes? Like, am I going to have to do this grind until I'm 60 or 70 and can retire? Like, is this what it takes to be a small business owner, to be someone who is devoted to their craft or devoted to helping others heal? And it's not. There is another way. There is a better way. It's like this whole other paradigm that we call being a time genius. And again, it's an inside out transformation. And I think it's such a great analogy because we know, right? And obviously, yoga is your area of expertise, but it's not necessarily about the exterior postures, is it?
Not at all.
It's all about what's happening on the inside, and the journey from escaping the world of time stress and embracing this new reality of being a time genius. Step number one is about understanding it's an inside job. And I think that's what makes the program and the principles so powerful, is because we kind of let go of thinking that it's about hiring a bigger team or learning how to delegate better or finding the right planner or schedule or app or tool. It's about none of those things, especially at first. But when we can really transform our mindset and our heart set and start to unwire some of our unconscious, and I think it's very toxic programming around time that we've just absorbed from the culture around us, that's where the real shift happens. And people find that, wow, not only am I getting more done, but I'm doing it more quickly and it's actually enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that about your course. Actually, that was one of the things in the program that really like clicked for me, was that aha moment that time was an emotional like concept experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like and really looking at that like emotional kind of relationship with time, and like
Yes.
even going back in time in my mind to when I was a child, and like some of the patterns that were like reinforced, like always rushing from one thing to the next, and like not really having the time to relax or rest or
That's right.
yeah, it was really fascinating. Even that little piece really shifted and changed things for me. Like at that unconscious level, that made a big difference in how I was approaching, my day.
Yes. Isn't it wild? It's a very kind of trippy, almost paradoxical thing that, people, when I talk to them about time genius, I'm like, look, I practice this stuff every day because it works so well. And coming from someone, happy to raise my hand, for years, my own programming was like push, 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 push. It's all based in survival and scarcity. Didn't have a lot growing up. So it was like the work ethic is just you keep going, because if you stop, it can all be taken away. And in many ways, it's rooted in scarcity. All of that is rooted in scarcity. And that's not a bad thing. Our parents, our caregivers, every person that we came from, that we're blessed to have come from before us, in so many ways had so much difficulty. So they were only doing the best that they can. But if we want to break some of the patterning of the past, if we don't just want to keep repeating it, and if we want to start to shift consciousness, not just for ourselves, but for the people around us, for our students, for our friends, for our community, it can't happen from the outside in. It has to start with us. And so when we start to embody this spaciousness and this abundance, not a time scarcity, but really understanding, knowing, believing, and living that there is more than enough time for what matters most, everything else starts to relax and shift and open up.
Yeah, yeah, it's incredible. And then I love like also you really like take the veil off, or pull the curtain back on your own strategies and your own tools and techniques, which I mean, it's so valuable, because I'm sure you get asked all the time, right? Like, what do you do to, do all the things that you're doing? Because it's incredible.
Yeah. And, everyone has their own recipes that are going to make them thrive. And one of the things we strive to do in Time Genius, it's like because I've been going and doing this for so long now, I've learned a lot because I've made a lot of mistakes. And I'm also obsessed with neuroscience and behavioral science and understanding what is the research out there that can support all of us in using our brains and our bodies and the mind-body connection in the most joyful and useful way, right? So it's like combating the world of time stress, but then also embracing how can we do things more effortlessly? How can we do things more elegantly? Again, combining that mind-body understanding, some scientific research, and then what I have learned that helps me stay in this game and love it. So yeah, one of the things that's cool about Time Genius is it's not a rigid system. You know, as a multi-passionate creative person, many of us rail against like something that has to be, you know, and we have enough of that in our lives.
Yeah.
And so I think the beauty of the Time Genius philosophy and the course is that you get introduced to a number of different tools, techniques, and practices. And then at the end of the experience, which is only 5 days, it goes so fast, you get to choose just one tool that you know in your heart that your intuition tells you is going to really be transformative for you at this stage and season of your life, depending on whatever your primary project is right now. It could be a work project, it could be a health issue, it could be a relationship, it could be something that you're really wanting to either transform or achieve or create. And so you get to kind of mix and match. And in that way, it's not overwhelming and it doesn't become another thing that you add to your list. It actually creates more space in your day. And you start to see areas of how you do what you do where there might be rigidity or there might be punishment kind of baked in. And the tools just, they work. They're based in science, they're based in common sense, and you don't have to do it perfectly either. People have seen tremendous transformation from just grabbing one tool and go like, oh my God, this alone changed everything. And then once that idea or that practice becomes a habit, you can go grab another one, should you so choose.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I always love the programs where you give the lifetime access because it's one of those things that you really can go back to like over and over and over again. It takes a long time. I mean, just to like, it's not like, you know, an immediate fix. It's something that we have to practice. It's a practice to change our relationship and our patterning with how we're connecting to time and productivity and how we're using our time, all of that. So it's yeah, like you say, there's just like so many things in there, and each little tool or each little tip, each little, you know, technique can make big shifts.
Yes.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And I will say
Yeah.
this too. I'll say one more thing
Yeah.
before is this is probably the thing, especially for folks that are like, oh my God, I don't even have the time for that. Yes,
Yeah.
you do. If you give me 5 days and just like an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, not even the whole day, just give me 5 days, watch this, absorb it, listen to it. I can guarantee, and literally guarantee, because you can get your money back, it will transform your life fast. Like if you sit down, you just absorb 5 days in a row, I promise there will be things that will click, that will open up, that will melt away, that will be like these profound paradigm shifts. You're like, whoa, how did that happen so fast? And I think like yoga, it is something that is paradoxical in that sense. Like you can see such immediate growth and you feel better so quickly. And it is a practice, right?
Yeah.
Because we're living in a world that is full of constant interruptions and distractions or pressure, just this societal zeitgeist of like more, you know, and so you have to almost continue to clear out and continue to strengthen those Time Genius muscles, but it doesn't have to be a punishment. It doesn't have to be something that feels like a chore. It can actually be a joy.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is like the people who need this the most, who are going to find the most benefit, are also going to feel like the most resistant to it because they're already overwhelmed and burnt out. And I mean, even I, like when I first got your emails, when you first sent out the program, I was like, I have no time for Time Genius.
Totally. I get it. And that's a really good, I love that you're calling that out because it's probably, if you're hearing yourself say that, or you're feeling that resistance, trust that you probably need it the most and you will see the greatest transformation the fastest.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, that was the case for me too. It was just incredible. Like the program really shifted so many things. And like you say, now I'm able to do the same things I was doing before in a way, but it just feels easy And like, I just kind of know what I don't really need to worry about or stress about, which is,
Yep.
that's an amazing shift alone.
It is, because as studies show that stress either causes or amplifies 90% of all disease that we experience as
Wow.
human beings. And for any of us, right, whether we have trouble sleeping, whether, kind of our tummies and our digestion is a little bit off, anything that we might be experiencing in our bodies, inflammation, feeling a little stiff, having headaches, experiencing anxiety or depression, anything that we're struggling with, stress is only going to amplify it. And when you start to make those inner shifts where the stress melts away, this was another Time Genius story. There was a woman who her stress was getting so bad, Harmony, that she actually went to a stress doctor because it was getting her terrified and was getting her family terrified. And the stress doctor put her on a program, and she was following everything that this doctor was telling her, and it wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And she took Time Genius and everything changed. 5 days, everything changed. She went back to her stress doctor, and the doctor said, "What are you doing? Your stress levels are now down 40%
Wow.
after 5 days." And it was merely because what you were talking about. She had such an internal shift. All of the things that would cause her anxiety and pressure and guilt and the patterns that she was running, they melted. And so all of a sudden her body was more open and she was less stressed based on what the doctor was testing her on. And so I think that it's just so important for all of us, because we have people who we love and people that love us. And we've got important work to do in the world, especially your audience. It's like folks don't become yoga teachers or healers or go into the medical field or the healing field unless they really care.
Yeah.
Unless they really care about other people being well and living well and having energy and being strong and lifting their consciousness. And like, we have to give ourselves that gift in order to share our gifts at the level that it's possible. And it doesn't take punishment. That's an old, outdated model. We don't have to live in that anymore, but we have to consciously understand that there's another path and we need to put ourselves on that path.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And sometimes I love how you also emphasize like these things change, depending on what season of life you're in, because
yes,
what worked when you're in your 20s might not work when you're in your 40s anymore.
That's exactly right. And depending on what's happening at this stage and season of your life, a stage or season could last a month or 2 months. It could be 6 months. It could be several years. There's things that arise in our lives, whether it is something happening in our business or our practice where it's like, okay, we need another team member, or there's something happening in our community, or a family member needs our care. Something's happening in our home and there's construction. Like, you have to be nimble and you have to be flexible. And understanding how to really shape and embody time in a way that doesn't come from a place of scarcity and panic as things shift, it allows you to move with your life with grace and with ease and with flow and a sense of faith and trust of how everything's going to work out, while also keeping yourself in the driver's seat, not from a place of control where you're white knuckling it and gripping on and thinking like, oh my God. No, there's like a much more fluid and flowing way to be. But again, it all starts from the inside out. And once you get that alignment in place, as the stages and seasons of your life change, you feel so much better equipped to navigate as those changes naturally come, because we can't fight those, right? It's like the seasons change, the seasons come, there's going to be difficulties, there's going to be open space. And to be able to feel confident in your toolkit and to feel confident of what you're focused on, what you're not focused on, and feel absolutely no guilt about that, no tension about it. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, amazing. So can I ask you a personal question before we wrap up? What do you prioritize in terms of like your self-care practices or your spiritual practices?
Yeah, and that actually, so that shifts. So I'm about to go into a few weeks of shooting content. Actually, we're recreating our B-School program. So it's all going to be new. And so in times when I'm waking up really early and also got to be on camera for long periods of time, meditation is one of the first things. And then usually on days, if I'm going to be on camera, 6-7 hours a day, I'm not necessarily going to do a super hard workout because there's a lot of energy that's output in that. In those times, I'll take a walk. So meditation is the thing for me that is the most consistent form of self-care. And then working out and movement usually springs through It could be dance, it could be walking, it could be a legitimate workout, but that usually depends on what else is happening around me.
Oh, amazing. And I got another question if we have time here. How do you like balance? This is like something I think people really struggle with. Balance like creating structure in your day or your week or your month, or like creating goals, which I know you're also extremely good at, but then
Yeah.
also allowing for that space of like for that spirit to flow, for that flexibility, for like intuition to hit, or that spark of creativity to arise.
Sure. I think that you can look at it kind of in two ways, and this is how I do. When there's any big goal, creating a new program, writing a new book, remaking anything in our business, it requires focus and it does require structure and deadlines. I'm not, though, going to have like a 2 or 3 month project. Let's say a project ends in June and then start another big project July 1st, right? I'm going to create some buffer and go, oh, okay, I've really had my head down for a while. I know me. I know taking July and August to have it more free flowing gives me enough of that breathing space to refill my well. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I can hardcore focus again starting on, say, September 1st. So I think understanding flow and understanding for me that there's times to really sprint and you're going to go for it. And there might be longer hours. That could be a week. It could be a month. It might be 6 weeks, probably no more than that. And then there's also going to be times where it's like you're doing things, but there is more white space throughout the day. There is a few days off or travel or whatever's going on. And I think having those rhythms are really, really important. Most of us, not everybody, but most people, I think, start to burn out if they only have one monotone rhythm or one kind of day and it just goes on repeat. You're on like Groundhog's Day over and over and over again. And so there's no room for that spontaneity. And there's also kind of no breathing and digestion space where if you've really put your head down and created something, you've given birth to something new that's never been done before, you've challenged yourself, you've stressed yourself. I mean, we know this, especially in the world of fitness. If you overtrain, you get injured. And it's the same thing, I think, with creating. If you just keep going at it, there's no space for the well to get filled back up. There's no space for you to have like a new adventure or to meet new people or to get new ideas. So that's what really works for me.
Oh, I love that. I think that in itself is like wonderful advice, because I know definitely that was a pattern of mine, just like stacking, okay, this thing, this thing, this. And I think that's what like really burnt me out it was, the COVID time. And it was just like you were saying, nonstop and in that fight or flight response, right? Yeah. Like working out of that place of scarcity rather than like feeling connected and in the flow and trusting abundance, trusting that, things are going to work out.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much for having me on. This was lovely.
Thank you so much. And people can sign up for your webinar. It's happening this week and next week. 3 productivity mistakes you can't afford to make, right?
Yes. It's an amazing training. Whether you join us for the full-time Genius experience or not, that free class is packed with practical, actionable tips that you can start using to start to get in your own time genius zone right now.
Perfect. Well, all the links will be in the show notes. And thank you so, so much for coming on. It was just so wonderful to meet you. And
thank you, Harmony. It was a joy. Thank you.
Thanks. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If it was your first time meeting Marie, I'm just so pleased to introduce you to her. I'm sure she's going to inspire you and motivate you in whatever capacity you're in, whatever jobs you're doing, whether it's in your life, whether you're building a business, whether you're a coach or a yoga teacher or, a solopreneur out there balancing starting a business with also your full-time job and also having a family. I know there's a lot of you out there too that do all of the things. And so I hope that this was really inspiring and motivating for you. And you don't need to make the mistakes that I made to, work so hard, 18-hour days and till you feel overwhelmed and burnt out and exhausted and you don't want to get out of bed in the morning. You're just lying there thinking of all the things that you need to do or that you didn't do. Be sure to jump on Marie's free masterclass, the 3 productivity mistakes you can't afford to make. This is a limited time class, so after next week, it will be gone. Go to harmonyslater.com/time-genius to learn more. And inside the masterclass, you're going to learn some powerful strategies that will change how you view time. And if you want to just skip right to the good stuff, then jump into the Time Genius program. Again, you can find all the details, harmonyslater.com/time-genius. You'll find all my bonuses there, and you will get to come into my mastermind group as well as do coaching with Marie, with myself, and with her other guest coaches in the Time Genius program. So head on over. Don't wait. This is something that is really, really important. It's actually a matter of your health. It's a matter of taking care of yourself. It's a matter of learning to prioritize your energy, your time, your health, your enjoyment of life. So what is all of the stress and all of the exhaustion and overwhelm costing you? What is feeling constant time stress, constantly inundated with updates and technology and having to do so many different things? What is it costing you in terms of your relationships, in terms of your physical health, your mental health? Learn how to shut out what you don't need and only just invite in the things that you do need so that you can protect your energy, so that you can stay in that high vibration state and attract all of the things that you want into your life, because we all know that like attracts like. And when we have that high vibration, when we have that high frequency and our minds are positive and we have the space to feel creative and to feel love and joy and peace and connected, all the good things come towards us. So we start to connect with the things that are also increasing that feeling within us. So get on the Time Genius train. It will help you to boost your energy and also learn some really, really down to earth, important techniques and strategies in how to plan your days, your weeks, your months, your years to hit goals that you want to hit, whether they're in your relationship, whether they're in your health, whether they're in your business, whatever it is you want to focus on. This program is going to help you do that and get there so that you can achieve more in less time with more joy and more ease, without the stress, without feeling like you're overwhelmed and always running behind time, running behind schedule, running behind whatever. No more running behind. Get in front of it and change your relationship to time with Time Genius. So I hope to see you inside. And it's just a wonderful program. So thanks for listening.